Oh snap! Oh snap! Oh snap! Oh snap! It's finally time. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are here. The top 10 best movies of 2017. Are you ready? No. I said, are you ready? Hey, what's up, you guys? Film Fan 0599 here again, and we're here. It's finally here. We're going to be doing another top 10 list. And today's top 10 list is going to be my top 10 best movies of 2017. 2017 has been quite the extraordinary year for movies, if you ask me. I think this has been the best year for film since 2014. We had some really great movies, a lot of phenomenal films. Like, seriously, it was just crazy. It was hard making this list. I think this is the hardest time I've had making a list ever. In the 4 years I've done with YouTube, this has been the hardest I've had with making a list, because there were so many great movies from 2017. There really were, and there was a lot that I loved. And it was hard to leave some movies off of this list, because there's just so many great ones. And yeah, I can't wait to talk about some of my favorite movies of the entire year. Now, I want to make something clear real quick. These are just my best movies of 2017. So this is just my list. This is just my opinion. If you see a movie that's not on here, that doesn't mean I don't like it. I either haven't seen it, or, it just couldn't make the list because there was just others I thought were better. And plus, don't get mad if a certain movie is ranked over a certain other movie. This is just my list. Remember that. We all have different opinions and different lists. So, this is not the definitive best movies of 2017 list. No, this is just my best movies of 2017. So, yeah, I guess, without wasting any more time, we shall get right into the list. But first, before we get into the list, I do have honorable mentions. And, yeah, the honorable mentions are kind of stackpiled because, like I said, this was a pretty great year. And I really didn't want to leave any of these movies out because these are movies you should check out. Just because they're on the honorable mentions doesn't mean you shouldn't check them out, because they are worth it. So here we go. The honorable mentions are Split, Small Crimes, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Kong Skull Island, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man Tell No Tales, 1922, Thor Ragnarok, Kingsman: The Golden Circle, the Lego Batman Movie, Power Rangers, The Devil's Candy, Baby Driver, Detroit, American Made, Wind River, and Coco. Those are the honorable mentions. All fantastic movies. I love all of those films, but they couldn't make the list. They just couldn't make the list. But however, they are still great movies. I think all of you should still check out those films because they are fantastic movies. So yeah, those are the honorable mentions, ladies and gentlemen. So here we go. You guys ready? It's time for the top 10 best movies of 2017 from yours truly, Film Fan 0599. So here we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, coming in at number 10 is Good Time. Good Time was a movie that I was somewhat excited for. I had some interest in it. Despite the studio of A24, who I really am not the biggest fan of, I don't really think they're that great of a studio. I think they're honestly pretty overrated. But they have proven to make some good movies here and there at times. And this is definitely one of them. This is a fantastic movie. I really loved Good Time. Good Time is a real interesting character study movie. It really is. And I really enjoyed it a lot. It was very intense, very, very muddy, very gritty with its atmosphere and its directing. It makes you feel dirty, honestly. It really does, with its muddy atmosphere, its gritty directing. It's really great. I think it really works for what type of tone that they wanted to go with this movie. I think the way that they want to go with this film does very good. I do think they do a fantastic job with it in this film, and it's a real great character study as well. I really did like that a lot about this movie. It's a phenomenal character study about this guy who is played by Robert Pattinson, who gives the best performance of his entire career and just one of the best performances all year round. This dude deserves an Oscar nomination, but he probably won't get it because knowing the Academy, but he definitely does deserve it. And he was phenomenal in this movie and really making you, you know, there's no turning around with it. This character's a scumbag, and, you know, and the movie doesn't gloss over that, and that's what I like about it. He's not doing this for any goodwill, he's just doing it for himself, and that's what I really like about the movie. They never gloss over that. He's just a scumbag, and that's just how he is. And I really like how Robert Pattinson brought that to his role in this movie, and really focusing on characters. I really like how they did that with this movie. The music is excellent too, really works with a lot of the scenes in the movie. It's a fantastic movie. I loved Good Time. Good Time was an amazing movie. I really did think this was a fantastic film. Definitely one of the better movies from A24, and definitely a nice, pleasant little surprise. I really loved Good Time. It's a great movie, and definitely one you should definitely check out. Alright, coming in at number 9 is Spielberg. This is a first for my best list. I've never had a documentary on my best list, but here we are. Spielberg was a documentary I was very much looking forward to because, of course, this was based on my favorite director of all time, Steven Spielberg. I love his movies, so being interested in seeing a documentary about his personal life and about his filmography was going to be quite interesting to see, and it was definitely one of the most invested things I saw all year. This is an excellent documentary. I thought Spielberg was an amazing documentary. It's really great. You know, whenever we find out about, like, stuff that happened in his personal life, or with his filmography, saying with Jaws and stuff like that, going some back to his earlier films, or his work with television, it was really investive, and I was really, you know, focused on this. This documentary is almost 2.5 hours long, and there was never a time I was bored because I was so invested of seeing this guy's life and seeing how extraordinary he is as a director. And the best part of this whole documentary was when they would talk about the making of Schindler's List. Like, they talk about his Jewish background, you know, before they talk about the film, and it just adds even more emotional weight to when they talk about the making of Schindler's List and how hard it was for Steven Spielberg to make that. And just talking about some of his other films, like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, E.T., like I mentioned before, Jaws. It was just so great. The Color Purple. It was just amazing to see just how much this guy has done for cinema, and how extraordinary of a director this guy really is. And I love that. And it was such a fantastic documentary. I really loved Spielberg a lot. It is such a fantastic documentary. Definitely one of the best I've ever seen, honestly. I really love this movie a lot. It is incredible. And, you know, good. I'm glad that this was the first documentary to ever make my best list, because it truly deserves it. So, yeah, Spielberg comes in as my number 9. Number 8. Get Out. Get Out was another movie that kind of just, although I was looking forward to it, I didn't know what really to expect going into it, because the trailers really did a good job of not really, I guess you could say, somewhat telling you exactly where the movie was going, if you know what I mean. It was kind of just one of those trailers that was just like, what is this? And yeah, then seeing the actual movie, it was quite great. I really loved it a lot. Get Out is a really fantastic horror film. I loved Get Out. It was very thought-provoking, very intense. Like, definitely a very intense movie. There are some really tension-filled moments in this film, and had me really on the edge of my seat for all of it, honestly. There was never a time I was bored during this movie. Like, I really felt invested during this film. It was so great and so thought-provoking, like I said, because some of these things kind of make you think. And, you know, And this movie does do some social commentary about racism and stuff like that, and it doesn't feel forced. Like, you know, say like with the movie like Okja, which it tries to force down its message down your throat. Here, Get Out with its message about kind of racism and stuff like that. It works, and it feels genuine, and, you know, it really works for the movie. I thought, you know, how they did that and handled that message in the movie was actually great, and I thought, you know, it actually added something to the movie, if you know what I mean. Like, it just didn't feel like it was forced down your throat. It actually was genuine, and I liked that, and I did like how they executed that in this movie. It was really great. David Cahuillo, I believe that's how you say his name. I could be absolutely wrong, but he was great. He gives a really great performance in the film. He was just incredible, and the rest of the acting's really good too. I thought everyone else did a really good job. It's a phenomenal film. I loved Get Out. Get Out is an incredible movie, and definitely deserves to be on my best list. It's really fantastic. Definitely recommend it if you haven't seen it. So, yeah, number 8, Get Out. Number 7, A Cure for Wellness. Oh boy, here's the one movie that's not going to be on a lot of people's best list, but you know what? That's what I guess you could say kind of makes my list unique. A Cure for Wellness was a movie I really didn't have expectations going into. I really didn't see any of the trailers. I barely saw any marketing for this movie, honestly. And all I knew about was that Gore Verbinski was directing it and Dane DeHaan was the main star. That's all I knew about going into this. And I'm kind of glad I went to this movie blind, honestly, because it gave me much more of an experience of watching it. And man, is this movie phenomenal. Seriously, I don't get the mixed reception with this film. I really don't. It is such a intense psychological horror film. This is the best horror film of the entire year to me. It's just such a great, it really messes with your mind. It really just makes you sit there and go like, oh my god. Like, it's one of those movies, and it just messes with your mind so much with its psychological elements. And it's great. Like, it really makes you feel like you are there in the hospital as well. Like, it's very atmospheric. This is how you do atmosphere, and it makes you feel very atmospheric in the movie. I do think they do a really fantastic job of that in this movie. Dane DeHaan gives a really great performance in this film. He gives definitely one of his best performances of his entire career. I think this is the most underrated performance. Seriously, no one else is talking about this performance. They really should, because he was really fantastic in this movie. And like I said, the psychological elements with this movie and the psychological horror with it is so great and just messes with your mind so much, and it's so intense. Like, it's really great, and I feel like not enough people are talking about that. Like, I really love how this movie just messes with you and takes you on a ride. Like, it straps you down to a chasing car, like a car that's going at full speed, and that's exactly what this movie does, because you feel so intense watching it and just kind of go ugh, like at points, because of just how far they go with things at some points during this movie. And it's really great, and like I said, it features the best cinematography you're going to see all year. The cinematography, mwah, excellente, okay? Seriously, I love the cinematography with this film, and like I said before, this is Gore Verbinski's best movie. It's his best movie by far. I really thought his directing with the movie was phenomenal. He just gave such a great atmospheric feel with this movie. I loved his directing with the film. So yeah, A Cure for Wellness is a movie. It's probably my most underrated film of the entire decade, to be honest. I feel like this is a movie that a lot more people should check out and really give a chance, because I really don't get the mixed reception with this film, because it's fantastic, and I loved it a lot. So, Cure for Wellness comes as my number 7. Alright, people, now we are at the 6 movies. Yes, the 6 movies that I gave an A+ to. These are the very best of the best, as you would say. So, yeah, let's just go right into it. And the first one, at number 6, is John Wick, Chapter 2. First movie I gave an A+ to in 2017. John Wick Chapter 2 was everything I could possibly have wanted in a John Wick sequel. I loved this movie, and I really loved the first movie too. The first movie was a great revenge film. I really thought that was a fantastic movie. Somehow, with this sequel, they amped it up to an 11, and, you know, it didn't feel over-bloated. It felt like the way that they needed to amp it up for a sequel, and it was great. I really did think it was fantastic. Keanu Reeves gives a really great performance as the title character himself, John Wick. He was great. I really loved him in this film. He is fantastic in this movie. Definitely one of the best performances he's ever given, and I think he is fantastic as this character. Seriously, such a great career revive for this guy. He really deserves it, and he was really fantastic in this movie. And the action sequences, my God almighty, this is the best action movie of the entire year, and this movie definitely does have the best action you're going to see all year. The action with this movie is phenomenal. I love the action sequences in this film. There were so many that made me go, oh crap, like just, there were so many that made my eyes pop out of my head because of just how awesome it was. Seriously, the action sequences are so cool with this movie. I really love the action sequences with this film. And the story was very invested too. Like, I was very interested to see where it was heading, and yeah, the ending to this movie, let's just say that, the ending to this movie really leaves in to what could be possible for a third installment. Seriously, I really thought the way they ended this movie was perfect. It was the perfect way to end it and to leave open for a third installment. Seriously, that's how you leave stuff open for a next installment. Seriously. So yeah, John Wick Chapter 2, what an amazing movie. Seriously, I thought they did an absolutely fantastic job of just amping it up from the original movie, and it was fantastic. So yeah, John Wick Chapter 2 comes in as my number 6. Number 5, Dunkirk. Dunkirk, man. You know, Christopher Nolan, legend himself. Man, you know, I was very excited going into Dunkirk, obviously, because, you know, like I said, I love Christopher Nolan. I love World War II movies. World War II movies are some of the best movies you could put out there, honestly, if it's done right. And I was very excited going into this, and I will definitely say, absolutely, I was satisfied, because Dunkirk, well, really what this movie works for is that, you know, they don't do the necessary, you know, traditional character development in this movie, if you know what I mean. They mostly focus on the event, the actual event of Dunkirk. And, you know, and I really thought that was great. The way that Christopher Nolan handled that, of focusing on the Dunkirk evacuations, was really great, and I was really invested in that, and it was just intense to watch. Like, there's never a moment in this movie where you get to breathe. Seriously, there is something happening every second in this movie, and it's great. Like, I felt so, like, just intense watching it. It just felt so invested and worrying about these characters, even though they're not, like I said, not developed in the traditional way. You still feel bad because they're put in this crappy situation where, you know, they could die, and it's really great. I do think Christopher Nolan does a fantastic job of doing that, and I really love that a lot about this movie. His directing is really excellent with the film. He does a fantastic job directing it. And although the movie is PG-13, yeah, it's intense. It's like really intense for a PG-13 movie, and you know, I was a bit I will say this, I was like, I don't know, man, like, I definitely, like, it's a war film. Shouldn't they go all out with it and make it an R rating? However, how they handle the PG-13, like, rating, they do it perfectly. Seriously, like, this just felt just as intense as it would have been if it was R rated. Seriously, it was really great. I really love that a lot with this movie, and it's such a great film. It really is. It's a fantastic. It's definitely one of the best World War II movies out there. It definitely is, and I loved it a lot. It's definitely one of Christopher Nolan's best as well. It's a fantastic movie, and Dunkirk definitely deserves to come in as my number 5. Number 4, SpiderMan Homecoming. You know I had to put this, you just know, man. Listen, I love this movie. It just, more and more watches that I watch, the more times I watch this movie, the more times that I love it. Seriously, it is so great. It's everything I could have possibly have wanted out of a Spider-Man movie. It really is, honestly. Like, it's everything I could have possibly have wanted out of a Spider-Man film. it really does get the nail down with the character, you know, because, like I said, even though I enjoy the first two Raimi movies, and actually the first Amazing Spider-Man movie, I can admit that those movies never really made me feel like Peter Parker. It was like a superhero with like a teenager with superpowers. In this movie, you definitely get that feel. You get that feel of a teenager with superpowers, and I love that about this movie. It really makes you feel like this is what will happen if a teenager had superpowers. And it's great. Tom Holland brings everything he needs to bring to this character. He is definitely the best interpretation we have seen of this character on the big screen. And he gives a really fantastic performance as the character. I loved Tom Holland in this movie as Spider-Man. He was really fantastic. I thought he did an absolutely incredible job in this movie as Spider-Man. Like I said, he is definitely the best interpretation we have seen of this character thus far. And he was really great. Same goes with Michael Keaton as the Vulture, one of the best villains of the entire year. He is so great as the villain. Definitely one of the best MCU villains we have seen ever, honestly. Like, I love him as the Vulture. He does such a great job as the Vulture in this movie and gives such a menacing presence. Even though he's not really angry or like mad, never has a raging moment, he's calm. And that's, I think, makes it even more frightening, honestly, that he is calm as hell. He is just calm as hell and never has that moment where he just bursts out. And I think what makes it more frightening for him, honestly, and more frightening for him as a villain, honestly. And I do think they do a really great job with that. And the little role that Tony Stark has in this movie was really great. And I thought how they used him in this movie was really good. So, and the action sequences are great. Definitely some of the best action sequences I've seen all year. The comedy is really good too. This is probably the funniest movie I've seen all year. Seriously, there were moments in this film, and that just had me cracking up. And yeah, I loved the humor with this movie. It was so great. The directing was fantastic too. Like, I really thought John Waite, I believe that's who directed this movie. He was great. I thought he did an absolutely fantastic job directing this film. So yeah, Spider-Man Homecoming is such an amazing movie. It really is. It was, like I said, it was everything I could possibly have wanted from a Spider-Man movie, and everything I could possibly have wanted from this movie in particular. Like, I really loved this movie a lot. It's one of those movies, just the more I watch and the more I think about it, the more I just absolutely love it. And it definitely deserves to come in as my number 4 on my best list. Number 3. Logan. Yeah, boy. Logan. You know, Logan, I had a lot of high expectations going into it. I really did. I have a lot of high expectations going into this movie because, you know, just, it looks so different from any other X-Men movie out there. Like, you know, it looked like it was going to be like kind of like a Western superhero movie, you know. It was very, like, muddy and gritty and kind of just almost like dirty in a way. And it just looked very great, and this was the last time we were going to see Hugh Jackman as the titled character, you know, Logan Wolverine. And I was very excited to see what they were going to do with this in the film. And man, what a movie. Seriously, what a movie Logan was. I thought Logan was absolutely tremendous. This is definitely by far the best comic book movie we've had all year. And just what they do in this movie is so phenomenal. I loved everything about this movie, from the acting with Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman gives not only his best performance as the character, but just his best performance in general. He, Oscar-worthy, seriously. He is amazing in this movie. I loved his much more grounded, much more emotional performance as this character. It really worked a lot, and I thought it was very fantastic with this movie. I loved how they executed that in this movie. It's so great, and his performance is really great. I just love how the character of Logan is in this movie as well, and it's very well handled, and it was a nice little farewell to Hugh Jackman as Logan/Wolverine, and he was really fantastic. Same goes with Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier. I loved him in this movie. This is definitely probably the best performance of him as the character as well. I really loved him in this movie. And same goes with the little girl who played X-23. She was really great too. I thought she was fantastic. And I love the bond that all three of them had with each other in this movie. That was an element that I really loved about this movie a lot. It's just the bond that the three of them have in this movie. And that was really well handled as well. I like that a lot about this movie. Like I said, this movie is very dark, very muddy, very gritty. And, you know, just with, not only with just the violence because of the R rating and stuff like that, just with the atmosphere and the tone with it as well. Like, it's just very kind of not so superhero-y like, you know what I mean? This is more of a drama, honestly, than a superhero movie. It really doesn't feel like a superhero movie, and that's what I like about it, honestly. It really doesn't feel like a superhero movie. It feels like more of a drama, and it's really great. I really love that a lot about this movie, and James Mangold, I believe that's how you say his last name. He was great. I loved his directing with this movie. It was fantastic. His directing with this film was absolutely tremendous. It was a spectacular job. Seriously, I loved his directing with Logan. So, yeah, and the ending to this movie, the most emotional ending you're going to see all year. That's all I'm going to say. I loved how this movie just wrapped things up. So, yeah, Logan comes as my number 3. Number 2. War for the Planet of the Apes. 2011, we had The Rise. In 2014, we had The Dawn. And now here in 2017, we had The War. And War for the Planet of the Apes, you know, this was my second most anticipated film of the entire year because, as you all know, I really love the first 2 installments a lot. They're both A+ movies, in my opinion. And they were both of those movies were the best movies of those respective years for me. So going into this one, I was excited, obviously, because this was going to be the final installment. This was going to be the closing chapter in Caesar's story. So I was very excited to see what they were going to do with this. And Matt Reeves, who directed Dawn, was coming back on to direct this movie. So I was like, excited. I'm hyped. I can't wait for it. Man, just what a way to end a trilogy. Seriously, what a way to end a trilogy. This is how you end a trilogy, folks. This is like up there with like The Dark Knight Rises, Return of the Jedi, Toy Story 3 with like just the perfect way to end a movie trilogy. Seriously, I loved how they just wrapped things up. And it was such a great movie and very character study, even though this movie, even though it has war in it. Obviously, war is in the title. There's really not that many action sequences in this movie. And like I said in my review, that didn't bother me because I knew what type of movie these movies were and knew what they were going to try and do with this film. And when we get to those big action set pieces, which are in the beginning and like towards the end, they're both great. I really love those action sequences a lot. They're fantastic. But that's not what I love the most about this movie. What I love the most about this movie was, like I said, the nice character study, like the nice just character study feel with it, and the way that they handle with Caesar's character in this movie is really great. And Andy Serkis, he gives the best performance honestly I've seen all year from a leading actor, and he was really fantastic. He gives the best performance of his entire career, honestly. Like, I really loved his performance in this film. He gives such an emotional performance, and it's really great. I really loved Andy Serkis' performance as Caesar in this movie. He was really phenomenal in my opinion, and he was really fantastic. I loved his performance in the movie. Same goes with Woody Harrelson, and he was great too. And what I love about these 8 movies is that you understand the perspective from both the humans and the apes. It's never one-sided, these movies. They're never one-sided. You understand both perspectives, and that's what I love about this movie. It's like, man, like, I want to root for the apes, but I also understand where the humans are coming from too, you know what I mean? Like, it's like that, and I love that about these movies. Like, it's so great, and the way that they executed that in this movie as well was fantastic, and I love that. And like I said, Woody Harrelson gives a really great performance in this film. He was fantastic, and the rest of the acting's really great too. And Matt Reeves directing with this movie, phenomenal. I loved Matt Reeves' directing with this movie. He did such a great job directing this film. It was so beautifully shot, so beautifully edited. Cinematography was gorgeous with this movie. It was so fantastic. And the movie's 2 hours and 20 minutes. I never felt the running time for a second. Seriously, I loved War for the Planet of the Apes, and like I said, the way that they end this entire trilogy was the perfect ending for this trilogy. It really was. I really loved how this ended the entire trilogy. Like, it was really fantastic to me. I loved how they ended this trilogy. It was a nice, awesome way to go. I loved it. War for the Planet of the Apes comes in as my number 2. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are here. The moment you have all been waiting for. You know, we talked about 9 other great movies, 9 fantastic movies that were awesome in every way, but however, they all fail in comparison to the number one best movie of 2017, to me, of course, is Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Star Wars: The Last Jedi is the best movie of 2017. I loved this movie. You know, everybody has that movie from the year, where, you know, with their best movie of the year. They always, you know, have like that special experience or a special meaning to them, you know, with the movie and stuff like that. And I could say the same with Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Like, you know, this was my most anticipated movie of the entire year. There was no other movie I was looking forward to more than Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Because, you know, well, obviously I loved Force Awakens. Force Awakens was great. I'm just a massive Star Wars fan in general. So, obviously I was looking forward to The Last Jedi no matter what. And going into the, you know, when I walked into the theater, I was just like, you know, I just hope I just like this movie. You know what I mean? Because I was hearing about the audience range. There's so many people just going all over the place with this film. I was just like, I'm hoping I just at least like it. And immediately when the movie was over, I was just blown away. I literally couldn't speak. I was just speechless of how amazing the movie was. It was just so phenomenal. Like, I just couldn't describe it. Even when, like, I got out of there, I just couldn't describe how amazing it was. Honestly. This is a movie that shows me why I love film. Like, I'm pretty sure everyone's best movie of the year, whatever, you know, it may be, it definitely showed them why they love movies. This was that for me. The Last Jedi was the movie that showed me why I love movies and why I think they're so fantastic and why I love doing movie reviews, because everything in this movie is literal perfection. Seriously, literal perfection, from the acting to the action to just the things that they do in this movie. Just everything is so perfect. Daisy Ridley gives an amazing performance as Rey. I loved her in this film. She does such a fantastic job as this character. I really love how, you know, she improves as a character in this movie too. Like, how she really does improve from The Force Awakens to The Last Jedi. I love that, and it was really great to see on screen Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. I know some people have been really mixed about this, but I absolutely love the direction that they went with Luke in this movie. He was great. I thought Mark Hamill gave such a fantastic performance as the character in this film. He was really fantastic in my opinion. I thought he did a great job. And Adam Driver as Kylo Ren, best villain of the year and best supporting actor I've seen all year. He is amazing in this movie. I love just the conflicting nature of this character. Kylo Ren is the best character in the new saga without question. Just the compelling atmosphere that you get from this guy, and just the kind of he's so fascinating and so complex, and that's what I love about his character the most. He's so fascinating and so complex, and he's great, and Adam Driver brings so much to this character, and I really love his performance in this movie, and just the way that they go with Kylo Ren's character in this movie, fantastic. I loved it so much. Seriously, everyone else is great too. The rest of the acting is fantastic as well. The action sequences, whoo! The action sequences are great. Seriously, I love the action sequences in this film. They are so fantastic and so adrenaline rush. It's everything. I love the action sequences in this movie. They are so fantastic in my opinion, and just the directions that they go with in this movie were great. I thought all the risks paid off. All the risks that they went with this movie, I thought they paid off in the best way possible, honestly. Like, I love the direction that Rian Johnson went with this movie. You know, kudos to him for going into this direction with this movie. Seriously, I loved his directing with this film. It was very well shot, very, you know, well edited. Cinematography was absolutely gorgeous. He just does such a great job directing this movie. I just love the direction that he went with this film. And just every moment of this movie was perfect to me. Just every single moment of watching this movie. Even the casino scene that I know a lot of people do not like. Even I enjoyed that. Even I had a bit of fun with that. Seriously, just this movie, I was left speechless. Honestly, there was just no other movie in 2017 that did this for me than this movie. Like, seriously, I loved every minute of it. And I didn't want it to end, honestly. Like, I was just sitting there in the theater, I'm like, I don't want this to end. Like, I just wanted more. And it was fantastic. I can't wait to see what they're going to do with Episode 9, especially with the way that they end this one. I can't wait to see what they do with Episode 9. And Star Wars The Last Jedi, man, what a phenomenal film. Seriously, I really love this movie a lot. It's just so incredible. It really is. It left me speechless in the best way possible. No other movie, I think, did that for me this year, honestly. And I was very confident, honestly, that War for the Planet of the Apes was going to be my best movie of the entire year. Then this movie came along, man, and just blew me away. I was left speechless, and, man, seriously, what a movie. This is a movie that shows me why I love Star Wars and why I love film. Star Wars The Last Jedi easily is my best movie of 2017. It is such a phenomenal film, and it deserves the top honor, honestly. It really does. So yeah, that's why Star Wars The Last Jedi is my best movie of 2017. Alright, people. That was my top 10 best movies of 2017. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this list and liked my list as well. So, now I leave the question to you. What are your top 10 best movies of 2017? Please leave them in the comments section below. And I'm FilmFan0599. And we will see you all tomorrow for my top 10 worst movies of 2017 list. Oh boy. Peace.